Welcome to Speaking Holistically, the podcast that explores the power of alternative medicine, natural healing, and homeopathic solutions to help you achieve true wellness. Each week, Dr. Jen and Amy G dive into the world of holistic health, discussing researched, time-tested remedies with expert insights from Dr. Jen, as well as real-life stories from patients to empower you to take charge of your health. So if you're ready to embrace a more natural path to wellness, let's start speaking holistically, because true healing begins from within. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Speaking Holistically. I'm your co-host, Amy G. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Jen, and we have a special guest today, Dr. Kyle, who you are a chiropractor in Dr. Jen's office. Yes?
Yep.
And we're going to be talking to you all about your path to chiropractic. By the way, these are some of my favorite stories. How anyone came to chiropractic is, I love to hear this, so I'm super excited. I don't know anything you're going to say. The rule is save it for the podcast. So who knows what you're about to tell us, but I'm very excited to hear about that, as well as your experiences just treating patients in the office.
Okay. Well, originally my path was going to medical school. That's what I thought I wanted to do. We moved to Tennessee when I was 6.
Oh, wow.
And coming from Texas, where there's not as much pollination, I didn't have very bad allergies. And then we moved here and it was horrible. So I went to the doctor. I got put on Zyrtec. And at the time it felt great because I learned from my crazy chiropractor later on, it was really just covering up what was going on with me. But after that experience, I was like, I want to help people. Like, I want to be a doctor. So my whole life, I want to do that. So I got an undergrad degree in biochemistry from Sewanee, University of the South. Went and got a medical laboratory science degree at University of Kentucky. Started working in the hospital lab. Started studying for the MCAT. Was going to take it. Applied to med school. I started liking the lab so much, I ended up actually getting my master's degree in genetic testing at UNC Chapel Hill.
Wow.
Became the chemistry supervisor at the hospital in the hometown that I grew up in, which was really fun. But then I moved in with my now wife, and she's like, your allergies are out of control. Like, you should not have to live like this. But I lived my whole life feeling horrible. So I just kind of felt like it was the norm. And I've had doctors tell me all along that, oh, it's just allergies, you have to live with it. Take an allergy med, and that's all you can do. So I kind of just thought that was it. So I was going to go to med school, and then she got me to go see this crazy chiropractor at Lakeway Wellness. After months of yelling at me about my allergies, I was like, what the heck is a chiropractor going to do for someone's allergies? Like, they just adjust people's backs. So I finally went.
So you got to see this though. See his shirt? See his shirt that he has on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, when he first came in the office, he followed his wife in. She had an appointment, but he didn't. So he was just coming to check it out. And he had all this crazy colors on. He had plaid shorts and something else. And I literally thought she was like a babysitter for somebody who had special needs.
He's going to choke.
I didn't have plaid shorts on, did I?
It was full on Benetton, all head to toe.
I don't know. I think you just wanted to make fun of me for how I dress, but okay. Anyways, I finally went to see her, and she got me on Standard Process, which is a big supplement that we carry at the office to give a lot of patients. I know you talked about a lot of their stuff on the podcast, but
their stuff's the best, yeah.
So I just remember doing the triangle. You did the triangle.
So we've got a triangle. The base is your structure. So if the structure is off, just like your house, I don't care how much you're trying to fix the walls and the inside and stuff like that. It's never going to be right. So it's structure, and then so we've got the structure, we've got emotional, we've got nutritional, and structure down below. So you have to hit all three sides. You can't just decide you're going to do nutritional stuff or just emotional stuff and not fix everything.
Yeah, which, I mean, not all chiropractic offices do that either. A lot just focus on the structure, which is great. But I always tell her if I didn't go to her office, I don't know if I would have been doing this, because it made a lot of sense. My whole life was being very science-based, and you just made it very simple. If you are just covering up, you're never going to, you have to find the underlying actual issues and fix those. So I did a complete 180, wanted to go to med school, and then decided I wanted to go to chiropractic school instead.
So I'm going to
And
interrupt you real quick. So he comes in for his first visit. I'll let him tell you a little bit more, but
yeah,
he comes in for his first visit and his energy is very much like,
I
you
still don't
know,
think I was like that.
it felt that way. His energy. I didn't say he walked in looking like that, but that's the way he was kind of like, guarded. And he should be. Like, you don't
Yeah.
just, you earn trust. You don't get trust because you exist, right?
Right.
So he came in, we talked very analytically. And so it made sense to him because it's just common sense when we discuss how the body works, what it needs, how to manage everything. Second visit, he comes in and he's like, what is this magic? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I need to know everything. So I started explaining a little bit more to him. Third visit, he comes in and he says, can you write me a letter of recommendation? I said, for what? And he said, for chiropractic school. I already applied. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool because it was definitely life changing, altering that quickly for him. So
Yeah.
go ahead and tell us that, like after your first visit, how did you feel? What did you think? Like what was going on there, Kyle?
Well, and that's one of the things I always tell patients. After the first visit, she told me, she's like, your kidneys have never been this good and your liver has never been this in line for filtering. Like they're going to be able to filter a lot faster. So you need to drink more water than you normally do, or you might be dehydrated and have a really bad migraine. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. I went home, did not drink enough water, and I woke up at 3 in the morning with the worst migraine ever. I was like, what is going on?
Wow.
Had a 32 ounces of water. I drank a whole cup and it went away. And that's when I like laid down and go back to sleep. I was like, what the heck is going on? But, after, you spend years of taking allergy meds, I got to the point where I was taking one in the morning, one at night. And then I get adjusted, take a couple of standard processed whole food supplements, and like allergies completely gone. And we have 3 cats that I thought I was allergic to forever, and now they don't really bother me at all. So that's when I was like, I have to go do this magical world, which I also told Dr. Jen. I called her my voodoo doctor for the first like 2 or 3 months.
She's been called voodoo doctor, I don't even know, hundreds of times, thousands of times. Yeah.
I have actually quite a few patients at a large corporation here outside of in Knoxville, and they call me the witch doctor, and I'm like, y'all, you can't do that. Like somebody might get something, but it's just because they're shocked at how quickly this stuff works. It's not because it's magic. It's not because it's black magic. It's literally just working with the body, getting the body to communicate, getting the brain to communicate with the rest of the organs, and decreasing that interference so that everything can function properly. So that was pretty fun to see Kyle change so much and go like literally on the path to become a medical doctor, and then like
Switch gears.
about face. Yeah, exactly. Not only that though, then he is so persuasive.
I would say I was persuasive. She's the one who got me. So my wife got me to go to chiropractic school. And I always tell everyone she wanted to make sure that I could actually make it before she quit her job and came to school. So she wanted to see if I was going to be able to make it through before. But then, 6 months after I went, my wife started going to school.
Yeah, so we're going to interview her. We're definitely going to interview her next. So she'll be on another podcast. But yeah, she and he ended up going to chiropractic school, and it's been great. They're both super analytical and super intuitive. So it's kind of fun to work with them because not only do they get it cognitively and education wise, they also have this sixth sense about them, if they will, but they work with patients really, really, really well and listen. And that's the thing. And especially with Kyle being a man, and men and women, our brains work different, period, end of story. I mean, neurologically, you can prove that with brain mapping and stuff like that. We just do. Our hormones impact our brains differently, everything. But Kyle listens really well to the patients. And that's one thing that, people complain about is that they go to their doctor and their doctor's like, okay, here's a med, there you go, bye. They don't actually listen to what's happening. And since our patients, everybody lives in their bodies way more than we do, we're definitely going to listen to what the patient's saying, because they're going to give us the clues of exactly what to do and how to help them. So he's an amazing asset to the practice for sure. Not only does he do chiropractic, and he has masters in all sorts of crazy biomolecular blah blah blah, and he ran the chemistry department at the lab, so he's not an idiot by any stretch of the imagination. He also does the osseous adjusting, he does dry needling. In fact, Dr. Kyle, if you want to explain a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, because a lot of people
But
don't know what dry needling is.
Well, in some states, it's not even legal like in California, only acupuncturists and medical doctors can do dry needling, but medical doctors will give meds and they're not going to sit and do dry needling on patients. And
yeah,
acupuncturists are going to do acupuncture. So dry needling is literally not even available basically in California. So here in Tennessee, chiropractors can do and are licensed to do dry needling. So there's definitely a difference between dry needling and acupuncture, even though we use the same needles. So
yeah.
go ahead and share a little bit more about that and your experiences with that as well.
So I got certified in dry needling. And the thing that made me most excited about it was in like all the courses for it, they showed people who come in with like horrible like, rolled ankles or something, like athletes. As someone who played sports all through high school and I played in college, being able to come back from a rolled ankle takes a long time, but with dry needling, it can literally be you come in with a rolled ankle, can't walk on it, to being able to run after you get out of getting dry needling, because you're taking these really thin needles and you're using them. Basically, we're finding trigger points, tight musculature, where we put those needles into that, let it sit there anywhere between 10, 20 minutes, and then take the needles out to allow the fascia that's kind of gotten kinked. So the muscles go back and forth like this, and there's fascia that entwines between your muscles. When that fascia gets loose or gets knotted, it doesn't allow the muscles to engage and relax like they should. So the needle is literally basically tricking that fascia to fold back to the way it's supposed to, so muscles can engage and relax the way they need to. So that's
And
the
then
thing I'm most excited about it.
Well, and then on top of that too, I mean, you're mobilizing the joint. So even if somebody
Yeah.
comes in with an acute sprained ankle, they always think, "Oh my gosh, this is going to hurt," and we adjust their ankles, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that didn't hurt at all." And I was like, "Yeah, because there's still inflammation in that joint, and so it really doesn't hurt to adjust a sprained ankle, and it lines it up so as it starts to heal, it'll heal properly and not create a bunch of scar tissue." But then dry needling on top of that is like the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So people who would have problems for 10, 15, 30 years later, they come in after some injury and they don't have issues anymore. They don't even remember which ankle they rolled. It's that amazing, the combination of the two.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't understand, like when you roll your ankle and a bone goes out of place, your body is going to stabilize it by having all those muscles tighten up, and then inflammation naturally happens to heal it. So it's going to hurt, but once you get the adjustment, putting the bone back in place, which is not going to hurt, it's going to allow everything to move the way it needs to. So that helps push all that inflammation out. Because especially in the ankles, where there's a lot of gravity that you're having to fight to get that blood up from your ankles back to your heart and lungs. So
Yeah.
getting the adjustment to align everything is going to make it a lot quicker healing process. And then, yeah, the dry needling on top of it fixes all that damage to the soft tissue.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
it
amazing.
allows the body to repair. So even people with not
Yeah.
acute injuries, but like they've had chronic low back pain or chronic neck pain or chronic head pain or TMJ or whatever it is, like we at the office adjust the TMJ, the temporal mandibular joint, as well as can put needles actually into that joint. So it makes a gigantic difference for a lot of people. And some people think, oh, that they don't feel the needles because they're thin, like the acupuncture needles are very, very tiny. So it's not like they've got this huge gauge of where they had a cortisone shot and they were like, oh my gosh, I'm never doing this. They're super gentle. Most of the time, people generally don't even feel them go in. And if they do, it's because everything is so inflamed and has been for so long. But it'll start to dissipate. The discomfort will dissipate like within a minute. And then they'll lay there and they're like, did you take the needles out? And we're like, no, they're still in there. Give yourself 15 minutes. In fact, Dr. Kyle had this patient who jumped up to grab her phone, right? Because she thought that she...
Yeah. Yeah. And she had dry needles in her hip, or her glutes, and she went to get her phone. Quickly, you realize she still had the needles in, because those nerves are going to fire when the muscles tighten up. So.
We are very clear to our patients, like, hey, the needles are there. We're going to leave you for 10 to 15 minutes. We'll come back. And she just couldn't handle not being on her phone for the 10 to 15 minutes. She was laying there, so jumped up to grab her phone. And as soon as those muscles engaged, she felt it and was like, oh, I thought I was just laying here.
Yeah.
We're like, no.
Well, no, she told me her next visit. She literally said, and I think this is a very Dr. Jen thing. She said, I thought I'd send some quick emails. I feel like if you were laying there, you'd probably feel the same way. Let's do a little work right now.
How can I be more efficient? How can I be more efficient?
That's what she was doing.
That is a very Dr. Jen thing indeed.
Y'all,
Come on, man.
It's true.
You know.
It is true. It's
She was
100%.
being efficient, and because you can't, like you said, you can't feel the needle. So I don't know if she thought. I think she thought I'd put them in, then take them out, and like she needed to lay there. But no,
I thought you were
they
gonna
were
say
still
she went
in.
and grabbed her phone and then laid back down and shoved it, and the needles went into her like glutes, like went straight in,
Yeah.
like she laid on it,
No.
right?
Well, there's no, and
No,
there's
she just
handles on
engaged.
them. There's handles on them, so they're not going to go any deeper than we want them to go.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because they'll go in and you can feel the tension, and sometimes you can feel it go 2 or 3 different layers and types of tissue. You can feel it go through.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go to pull them out, it's like butter, like a hot knife through butter. Like it just slides right out. So you can tell that the body's released it. Other ones, they're a little bit more stubborn, don't want to come out. So we'll leave them there for a little bit longer and just let the body unwind like it needs to. So it's a pretty cool modality. And we don't do a ton of modalities. But Dr. Kyle, he's great at the drying needles. He's great at the adjusting. And like I said, he's very, very, very well educated. So it's really fun to work with somebody who's so multifaceted that keeps the office interesting as well. So he's been a great addition to the office for sure. And he gets it. He gets it. He doesn't have allergies anymore. So it's not just about back pain. Like I saw some meme that said going to a chiropractor just for back pain is like robbing a bank and taking the pens. You're missing the entire point. Right? It made me laugh because it's true, because a lot of people come in and just think, oh, it's for back pain. And it's like, no, not really. It's for optimal functioning on every single level. I mean, how many times have I adjusted somebody, or Dr. Kyle has done the same, where all of a sudden they start crying and they're like, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. I don't know why I'm crying. And it's because their body's been holding so much emotional tension that it finally released it. And they're in a space that they know that they're getting help and support for whatever their body needs at that point. So I mean, people dread going to work every day, and I know I can speak for myself and probably for him too, because he's always like, I can't believe I get to come to work like this. Like he's so excited. And it's so fun to work with our patients. It really is. We have some of the best patients ever. They're fun. They have senses of humor. They want to get better. It's wonderful.
How long have you been Oh, sorry. I was going to ask how long you've been in the office. How long have you worked at Lakeway?
So I started end of September, beginning of October. So about 6 months, right? So 6 months, 7, 8 months, I don't know.
Yeah, longer than that. So
decent amount of time.
I know, it goes fast. So he quickly assimilated, and the patients have really taken to him. So it's amazing. It really is.
So Kyle, do you have any patient stories that really moved the needle for you, where you saw a transformation in the patient, or you felt like it was really impactful?
Yeah, one of my first new patients that I had was a plumber, came in, and I know it's a low backstory, but for me, it was transformative too.
Yeah.
Came in with horrible low back pain, and he's about my age. And he said he'd been having it since, I think, November or December, and came in. I think I was the second chiropractor he'd seen too, and he said that it wasn't getting better. So made me nervous as a new doc, but just went in, did the adjusting the way I learned at school and from Dr. Jen. And within like 2 visits, he was back to not walking in like all hunched over, but walking normal, feeling better. And he comes in at least once a month now. So for me, that was a really awesome story, because at least I know that what I'm doing is definitely helping people. And it was a really drastic change from pain, not being able to, sit up
walk
from bed.
Upright.
Walk upright, be able to do his job too, because he's telling me that he wasn't able to do a whole lot at his job. He wasn't able to lift heavy stuff or get into weird positions that plumbers have to get into. So
crawling into bathroom vanities and into kitchen cupboards under the sink. Yeah.
Well, and crawl spaces too, to get to access the plumbing and stuff. And so we don't see patients 3 times a week for 6 weeks as a norm. It's more of getting it adjusted, get them fixed, get them out of there, and then recommend based upon their lifestyle, their health goals, stuff like that. Like, do they come in every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, whatever it is. But even if somebody's getting adjusted once a month, I mean, considering how much abuse that they're doing to their bodies, 1 adjustment a month isn't that much. And that's only 12 times a year. So it's not that excessive. And we get in there pretty deep. And obviously we take it case by case, patient by patient, because he's not going to adjust his plumber the same way he adjusted one of his new patients, which she was a newborn, right, Kyle?
Yeah, a 2-week-old, which was really fun. So which I didn't even think about until after the fact. I told you about that. I was the first person the first adjustment this kid ever got was from me, which was really cool. to think about after the fact.
Yeah.
2-week old, never been adjusted, and I was the first one to adjust their atlas, which is, I'm glad I wasn't thinking about it at the time. It probably would have freaked me out, but now I'm like, oh yeah, I just did the thing.
Well, it's basically you're going to just do a gentler touch with a baby, right? It's but I mean,
Yeah. With a
still,
baby, it's literally just pressing on where the subluxation is. So like for Atlas, I literally was holding the baby, and it was a little bit to the right, so I just pressed from the right to the left and held it until you literally feel it just basically disappear off your finger. You can feel a little like BB feeling on your finger from the bone, and then once it goes into place, it just slides into place.
Wow.
So it's a super gentle adjustment as opposed to like an adult that you're gonna pop the table and do a full thrust.
Yeah.
But still just as impactful. Yes.
Yeah.
If you think about it too, the brainstem actually extends down into that C1 area just a little bit. And so in the brainstem, there is the primary respiratory centers. So, you're impacting way more than you even think you are with that upper cervical adjusting, of how much neurological impact is going on there. So if you've got a baby whose atlas is out and they haven't been adjusted till they're in high school or something, and you wonder why they're having potential issues with school or focus issues or breathing issues or whatever it is, and not saying that it's just because the atlas is out, but that can be part of it as well. Neurological, once again, that structural aspect of it, and then you can deal with the nutritional aspect and the emotional aspect. But being able to get those babies with their lives started off right, as opposed to waiting till later and trying to fix a damaged adult, which we do all the time, but more quality of life. I mean, I've been adjusted since I was 2 days old, and I can tell you, well, no, but you know what I mean? Like, I can tell you it makes a huge difference on how I function and the choices in my life that have been made because of that,
Yeah,
So,
you were set on the right path, like from
instantly.
day 2.
Well,
Not day
and
1,
my
but
mom-
day 2.
Well, and my mom was adjusted during her entire pregnancy. So the neurological input, making sure that all those messages were being sent from her brain all the way around to the uterus and all the other stuff that was going on, and makes such a huge, huge difference for sure.
I was hearing you say, sorry to interrupt, but when you said like if you're having trouble at school or having trouble focus, I'm like picturing all these parents flooding your office with kids that are not applying themselves in high school. Be like, we got to get down there.
Well, I have a senior, and I can tell you, I am adjusting her, but she's a little too big to fit into a box at the fire station at this point, and I'm just trying to get her through graduation in the next couple of weeks. So, but I will tell you that it does, like, mood. I mean, I joke around about having it be an attitude adjustment, but I will tell you right straight off the bat, when my neck is out of place, man, it can be a lot. So I know that I need to be adjusted when I can't even get away from myself. And when my kids are like that, I'm like, you know what? You need to go lay down. We need to check you. And sure enough, I adjust them, and they literally exhale as they come off the table. Like, oh, so sometimes that tension just puts too much on the sympathetic, where they're in a fight or flight type situation all the time. So getting that adjusted down regulates the sympathetic chain and functioning. And so then parasympathetic can kick in. So rest and digest can kick in, and it down regulates that fight or flight response in the body and the brain. Because, some people, our brains just don't stop.
Yeah.
That's why neck cervical adjustments and sacrum adjustments and extremity adjusting are all my favorite things to do. Extremities, not so much parasympathetics, but I know that cervicals and sacrum, a lot of the nerves that come out of those areas are your parasympathetic nerves. So when you adjust those, you can see people actually relax. And you can hear in people's voices, when you adjust someone's neck, their voice will drop. Like, it can drop. If you're super stressed, it can drop like 2-3 octaves, where it gets super deep because of the parasympathetic nerves in your vocal cords relaxing.
Wow.
So it's always fun to hear that.
And Dr. Kyle also adjusts ears too, so that helps the sinuses drain, which, he's had experience with that personally, but even just adjusting the upper cervical, the upper neck, people will be laying there and will adjust their neck, and they're like, oh my gosh, my sinuses are draining. They can literally feel that instantly. And then the ear adjustments are just the icing on the cake. So and he just gets a kick out of that. He loves it. And then the ankle adjustments, he's got a special technique for ankle adjustments, which is fun. So sometimes I even call him and be like, hey, I'm going to have you help me out with this patient. So it's pretty fun. We don't have any ego issues at the office. So whatever a patient needs, he'll call me and be like, hey, I have a question about this. And what do you think about that? And we confer on, so many of our patients, because 2 or 3 heads, and, Dr. Ada's there now as well with Dr. Kyle, but 3 heads is better than 1. So it's kind of great that we don't have those ego issues, and it's about the patient. It's whatever the patient needs, and whatever we need more information from elsewhere, we will look for it for each individual patient for sure.
Which is amazing because you're giving the best possible patient experience you can across all three of you. So sometimes you collaborate and sometimes, you're on your own treating the patients, but they get the best experience possible. And I think that's amazing.
And we like to joke with patients. So, most of the people that are attracted to our office and stay with us are referrals. We don't really do any advertising at all. So our entire office base is referrals. So if somebody likes us, likes what we're doing, they generally hang out with people that are similar to them. So when they come into the office, they're like, oh, I really like this person or whatever. So it's not just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, get out of the office. It's a relationship that we have cultivated with our patients, and when they come in the door, we celebrate their successes and we mourn their losses. And it's just, I don't know, it's such a great place to be. It really is. And like I said, the addition of Dr. Kyle and Dr. Ada has been amazing for, just for me having some colleagues that are close and who are extremely intelligent and extremely functional and extremely great adjusters, and also giving that gift to our patients and our community.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Very cool.
The only other thing I can think about was the biggest reason I wanted to be a chiropractor was working in the hospital, realizing that everyone there already has such issues. That's the only way that they can get treated, is that you have a pathology. So you've had all these things. So when you were talking to me in your office about like, you have to fix the root cause or it's just going to stay there and you're going to have issues that are going to pop up eventually. And then going back to my job where you kind of see like the only way people get treated in the main mainstream medical world is if you have a pathology. I think that was the biggest thing. I just thought about it, that why I wanted to be a chiropractor was it's a more proactive approach. So that was the biggest thing I was excited about. Like you fix things before there's actual issues. And I think you always told me like an oil change for your car, right? You don't wait until the engine blows up. You go get the oil changed every month. It's the same thing as going to chiropractor. So that was, I think, the biggest reason I wanted to do this was people could come before you actually have, some major medical issues. If you get the chiropractic care and get the supplements you need, you won't have to deal with that further down the road.
Yeah, no, dealing with the subclinical aspect of it. If we can read labs and look at those and go, okay, there's little something brewing here, let's check this out. It's not going to be diagnosed as anything yet, but we're on the path to this, and be able, I always say, turn the Titanic around before it hits the iceberg. I'd rather prevent something than have to clean up a mess. And most patients feel the same way. It's easier, it's cheaper, it's faster if we can find these little nuances before they become an issue. So and it's fun because both Dr. Kyle and Dr. Ada worked in labs. And so for them, that those analytics are huge for them, and that's all they do. So one of my favorite stories is about Dr. Kyle being in the lab and discussing, the calibrations in the hospital, and something I really hadn't thought about before. Kyle, go ahead and can you tell that story?
Just a lot of the people didn't understand why we calibrated our analyzers. And the whole reason
what was that? Why you calibrated what?
Calibrate the analyzer. So the machines that we get the tubes of blood in and run the test for, right? So those specimens, people's blood are unknowns.
But what happens is if that isn't calibrated in the lab, then the results from the blood tests aren't accurate, correct?
Yeah. You don't know if they're true or not, right? So those are huge factors in what the doctors are going to use in determining what their course of action is. So
really
they could be getting results that you have no idea if they're good or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was something I hadn't even considered. I just assumed that all of that gets managed perfectly, but we are human and there is an area for error. Yeah. And so sometimes I tell people like, hey, that cholesterol seems a little bit high for how you exercise, how you eat or whatever. It could be right. Could be that you had I had a gentleman that his cholesterol was super, super high. And I'm not saying that it's due to the calibration issues, but he did have super high cholesterol. And I thought, this is really weird. You exercise, you eat really well. I don't know what's going on here. And so I asked him some questions, not just like, okay, well, let's put you on this supplement or let's have you go to your MD and get put on a med. Let's talk about this. And I said, what did you eat the night before or the day before your labs? And he said, oh, it was my birthday. And I went out and I had a burger and fries and milkshake. And I'm like, oh, well, that could explain how high your cholesterol is. So his doc had already written him a prescription for a statin. And I was like, wait a second, let's have you eat like you normally do for this next week. I'll send you out just to do the cholesterol, the lipid panel, and we'll see what happens. He did that, it came back, it was perfectly normal.
Whoa.
Yeah. And that's something I do like telling patients too, because people do get scared about their lab results. I mean, even my parents will get scared about lab results, but they're just like an x-ray too. It's a screenshot. It's a moment in time. So like that guy, he went out the night before. So then he took his labs and it looks like his cholesterol is always through the roof, but it just happened to be at that point it was through the roof. He could have probably gotten them done that afternoon, they would be normal.
Yeah, people have to think about that when they're about to get their labs done. What did I eat the night before? If they're getting, lipid panel, that's a really good point.
Or with even the last couple of days, what have you done? Did you go on a girls' weekend and you drank too much and now your liver enzymes are out of control? That sort of thing. So labs are not the end all be all. They are definitely just part of the puzzle pieces that we have to put together. So in our practice, looking at the structural aspect, the emotional aspect, and here the nutritional aspect, which does and can include those labs. Yeah. So it's just great that Dr. Kyle has had so much experience in the lab to bring some of that information to me that I didn't even consider, although I've seen it in practice. But to actually hear the clinical aspect of it was just like, I love his stories from the lab. That's what we could do. Another podcast.
I mean, but it is true. Like, you just have to know. I learned in my medical lab science programs, like crappy specimen handling or gathering is going to give you crappy results. So that's why when you look at the lab results, you really have to factor in the person's lifestyle and what's going on in their life.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Kyle. This was fascinating. Thank you for joining us today and just kind of giving us a little window into your world. I learned a lot. So, and thanks everybody for listening. If you haven't joined our school community before, I'll put the link in the show notes below. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
That wraps up another episode of Speaking Holistically. Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration to take charge of your health. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, be sure and join the Speaking Holistically school community by clicking the link in the show notes. There, you'll get access to daily podcast episodes, weekly live Q&As, educational content, and so much more. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, be well, stay curious, and keep speaking holistically.